The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
The world of celebrity gossip is no stranger to wild rumors and bold claims, but the latest scandal involving Sean Diddy Combs has taken things to a whole new level. According to swirling speculation, Diddy didn't just escape the spotlight. He's escaped the country altogether. Allegedly, he's been spotted living a secret life in Cuba while a lookalike rots away in prison, taking the heat for him. Could this be the biggest celebrity cover-up of the decade? Let's break it down, starting with the jaw-dropping claim that Diddy pulled off an audacious escape right under the authorities' noses, leaving a double behind to face the music.
Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Everyone knows Diddy is no stranger to controversy, but this is next level. The music mogul has been under intense scrutiny for months, with allegations piling up faster than his chart-topping hits. He was arrested on serious charges, and the media quickly reported that he was being held without bail in a high-security facility, supposedly under self-harm watch. The headlines screamed about his fall from grace, and it seemed like justice was finally catching up to one of the biggest names in the entertainment industry. But according to a growing number of online sleuths and conspiracy theorists, the man behind bars isn't Diddy at all. Instead, it's a carefully chosen doppelganger meant to take the fall while the real Diddy enjoys a life of luxury, far away from the prying eyes of U.S. law enforcement.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on side watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after two judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon.
The internet is buzzing with photos and so-called evidence that fans are using to back up this wild theory. For starters, there are the photos, recent ones, that supposedly show Diddy in two very different states. In one image, he's seen in custody looking stressed, older, and almost unrecognizable. But then another image emerges, and bam, he's looking fresh, younger, and eerily different. This has led to a flurry of comments from eagle-eyed social media users who swear up and down that the man behind bars isn't the real Diddy. Some point out discrepancies in the facial structure, especially the shape of the eyes and jawline. Others have honed in on smaller details, like how Diddy's signature beard seems slightly off in certain pictures or how his ears seem to change shape. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi thriller, but these theories have taken on a life of their own.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really...
One social media user commented, "Those are not the same person. Diddy doesn't even look like that." Another joked, "Maybe he's been cloned. I'm not buying it." The wildest part, these theories aren't just confined to the internet's fringe corners. Even some reputable sources are beginning to question whether the man currently locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center is truly Sean Combs or an imposter sent to throw everyone off the scent.
That's of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers upon layers.
Digital creator Joel Melnichuk fanned the flames of this conspiracy with an Instagram reel that has since gone viral. He shared two side-by-side pictures, one of Diddy looking noticeably worn out and another showing him seemingly much younger. So I keep seeing this picture here. Could be AI, could be two different dudes, or could be a poor attempt at a clone, Melnichuk speculated. His post set off a firestorm of comments with fans dissecting every pixel of the images like detectives on a true crime binge. Definitely not the same person. One user wrote, highlighting that the eyes in one photo seemed too close together compared to the other. Theories continued to pour in, with some suggesting advanced photo manipulation, while others pointed fingers at cleverly angled shots being used to dupe the public.
We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
But the real shocker, the rumors that Diddy has fled to Cuba, a country famous for harboring fugitives, including some high-profile escapees in the past. If true, this would mean that Diddy pulled off an escape plan worthy of a Hollywood blockbuster. Some sources claim that in the weeks leading up to the raids on his properties, Diddy was quietly preparing his getaway. According to whispers, he sold off several high-value assets, including properties in the U.S., and there are reports of financial transfers that conveniently align with the timing of his alleged escape. It suggested that these funds were moved offshore to finance his new life abroad, far from the reach of American authorities.
Clearly, there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
And Cuba. It's a choice that's raising more than a few eyebrows. The island nation has a history of being a haven for those fleeing U.S. justice. It's not hard to imagine that someone with Diddy's resources and connections could easily make his way there, especially with reports of a private jet sighting that coincided with his supposed disappearance. There's even a rumor circulating that he's purchased an estate hidden in the Cuban countryside, far from the bustling streets of Havana, where he's supposedly living under the radar. One theory even goes as far as to suggest that Diddy has been planning this escape for years, anticipating that one day the walls would close in on him and he'd need a way out.
Now you got the Diddy situation where he jumps on a private jet, they say yesterday, and is on his way to the Cape Verde Islands.
So if Diddy's truly soaking up the sun in Cuba, who's in prison? This is where the conspiracy takes an even darker turn. Allegedly, the man currently locked up is a lookalike hired or coerced to take Diddy's place. The theory claims that this double, who resembles Diddy enough to fool the casual observer, has been living in the shadow of the hip-hop mogul for years. According to some, this isn't the first time Diddy has used a double to maintain his public image or protect himself from legal consequences. The internet has gone wild with speculation about who this person could be and why he would agree to such a dangerous role.
Just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty.
The details of the man's life inside the Metropolitan Detention Center add fuel to the fire. Reports of the facility's notorious conditions have surfaced, painting a bleak picture of life behind bars for anyone, let alone a high-profile figure like Diddy. Self-harm cases, violent incidents, and general chaos are just part of the everyday reality in this prison. It's the kind of place where a man could easily lose himself or be lost intentionally. Conspiracy theorists argue that these horrific conditions make it all the more likely that no one would be able to closely examine the man's true identity. After all, with the media attention on Diddy's case and the frequent lockdowns and restricted visits at the prison, who would even notice if the real Diddy wasn't there?
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
Perhaps the most suspicious element of all is the fact that, as of now, Diddy's family hasn't been granted direct access to him since his incarceration. It's not uncommon for high-profile prisoners to have limited contact with the outside world, but in this case, it's raised a lot of eyebrows. Why hasn't Diddy's family been able to see him in person? Could it be because even they would recognize that the man in custody isn't their father, brother, or son? This question has led some to speculate that Diddy's inner circle may be in on the conspiracy, or at the very least, beginning to suspect that something's seriously off.
Clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Theories continue to grow, with some even suggesting that the authorities themselves might be turning a blind eye to Diddy's escape. After all, with his rumored connections to powerful figures within government circles, including supposed links to law enforcement agencies like the FBI, it's not entirely far-fetched to believe that Diddy could pull strings to ensure his safe passage out of the U.S. There's been talk for years that Diddy has informants in his pocket, people who owe him favors or are willing to look the other way in exchange for a little help of their own. This theory has only gained traction in light of the fact that, despite the damning charges, there's been little concrete evidence released to the public about Diddy's whereabouts or the specific details of his supposed imprisonment.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his mom.
But just how did Diddy manage to orchestrate such an elaborate escape? According to some accounts, the groundwork was laid long before the feds raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Some insiders claim that Diddy had begun distancing himself from his usual circle in the months leading up to his arrest, perhaps knowing that something big was about to go down. He allegedly made large cash withdrawals, sold off luxury properties, and even dissolved certain business ventures, all under the radar. These moves, while subtle at the time, now seem like pieces of a larger puzzle, with Diddy setting the stage for his eventual disappearance.
And if he's allowed to go through with any of the sales, I won't be able to recoup any of my monies or anything from him as a result of any possible judgment in this action, if he's allowed to proceed with it. And an injunction or a restraining order would help ensure that he's not manipulating and selling the property to avoid this.
On top of that, there's the matter of his private jet. Multiple reports claim that a plane registered in Diddy's name or under one of his many shell companies was spotted in Havana around the time of his alleged escape. While it's not unusual for celebrities to travel by private jet, the timing of this sighting has raised plenty of eyebrows. And if he did make it to Cuba, the country's historical reluctance to extradite fugitives back to the U.S. can make it nearly impossible for authorities to bring him back.
The money that they're saying Diddy has to start paying this guy on October 1st, right. Diddy's team is like, hold on, we need an emergency conversation about why this should not have been granted. Mm-hmm. And they awarded him a TRO, which basically meant that Diddy's team was not allowed to sell any property in that state or anything related to what could be used to pay the plaintiff.
Adding yet another layer to the mystery, some have suggested that Diddy's escape mirrors those of other high-profile figures who managed to evade justice. From infamous mafia dons to political figures who fled overseas, history is filled with cases of powerful people slipping through the cracks, often with the help of insiders or corrupt officials. Could Diddy have followed in their footsteps using his wealth and influence to ensure a clean getaway?
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York. And if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
Meanwhile, back in the U.S., attention is turning to the man left behind, the alleged double who's now facing the full force of the law in Diddy's place. Descriptions of his time in the Metropolitan Detention Center have been grim, to say the least. The facility, notorious for its harsh conditions, has been described as barbaric by some, and the rumors of violence and abuse within its walls paint a bleak picture. It's easy to imagine that the double, whoever he is, might be regretting his decision to take Diddy's place, especially as the public begins to question the true identity of the man behind bars.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released to his mansion.
All of this begs the question, if Diddy really has escaped to Cuba, how long can he stay hidden? Will the authorities eventually catch on and launch a manhunt to bring him back? Or will he continue to live in the shadows, far from the legal troubles that seem to have finally caught up with him? As more pieces of the puzzle fall into place, one thing is certain, this story is far from over, and the world is watching, waiting for the next chapter in the unbelievable saga of Sean Diddy Combs.
Replete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras.
And now, with the seeds of doubt firmly planted in the public's mind, let's dive into the second section, where we'll explore Diddy's dark history and the patterns of manipulation, violence, and evasion that have characterized his life for decades. Could this latest escape be just another chapter in a long-standing saga of escaping justice? Diddy's current saga might seem like something out of a thriller, but let's be real. This isn't the first time he's found himself wrapped up in controversy. As wild as the latest rumors of his alleged escape to Cuba are, they're just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the mysteries and allegations that have surrounded him for decades. Now, with whispers that Diddy has somehow managed to dodge the law yet again, it's hard not to look back at the patterns of evasion, manipulation, and downright sketchiness that have followed him since the early days of his career. So, let's dive into Diddy's dark history and try to connect the dots.
New at 5, the legal troubles continue for Sean Diddy Combs tonight after a judge ordered the music mogul to pay $100 million to a Michigan man who says that he was assaulted by Combs in '97.
According to court documents, Derek Cardello Smith says Combs and then assaulted him during an after party at a Holiday Inn in Detroit. But Combs never responded to the lawsuit in court.
Back in the 1990s, Diddy was a rising star in the hip-hop world, building an empire with Bad Boy Records and rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest names in the industry. But even then, rumors were swirling about his involvement in one of hip-hop's most notorious feuds, the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that left both Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. gone too soon. Although nothing was ever proven, Diddy's name has often come up in discussions about the unsolved mysteries surrounding their untimely ends. The two were close, and some even suggested that Diddy might have had knowledge of what was going on behind the scenes during that turbulent time.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Fast forward to now, and those suspicions have only grown. Suge Knight, who's currently behind bars, has repeatedly pointed the finger at Diddy, even going so far as to imply that Diddy had some involvement in the events that led to the losses of Shakur and Biggie. In recent years, Suge hinted that Diddy has long-standing ties to powerful figures, possibly even within the FBI, and that he's been able to use these connections to stay one step ahead of trouble. Suge's claims might seem far-fetched, but they echo other rumors that Diddy has quietly maintained a web of influence that keeps him protected.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
Adding fuel to the fire, Ye and Candace Owens have jumped into the fray, endorsing theories that Diddy has deep connections with federal agencies. Both have publicly questioned why, despite a mountain of allegations, Diddy has remained free for so long. Candace, in particular, has been vocal, suggesting that Diddy's alleged ties might be the reason he's been able to evade justice. And yeah, he's pointed to this as yet another example of powerful figures being shielded by invisible forces. Whether there's any truth to these claims or not, it's clear that Diddy's reputation as a man who can slip through the cracks has only solidified over the years.
Problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are allegations.
In fact, when it comes to accusations of misconduct, Diddy's history is practically a laundry list. Back in 2023, things started to heat up when Cassie, an R&B singer and Diddy's former partner, filed a civil lawsuit against him. She painted a chilling picture of her time with him, claiming he'd subjected her to coercion and manipulation. The allegations didn't stop there either. Cassie accused Diddy of orchestrating situations that put her in compromising positions, all while wielding his influence to keep others silent. Although the lawsuit was settled quickly, many saw it as just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months, as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner of bad behavior.
And it didn't end with Cassie. In the months that followed, other individuals came forward with their own claims, including a former music producer, Rodney Lelrod Jones. Jones's allegations against Diddy were explosive, detailing years of inappropriate behavior. According to Jones, Diddy leveraged his power within the industry to pressure him into uncomfortable situations. Jones even went so far as to claim that Diddy tried to groom him, a move that many say aligns with previous stories about the mogul's influence over those around him.
I mean, it's a legitimate concern. You know, no judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day, oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, you know, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. And sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. You know, years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
The pattern becomes even clearer when looking at how Diddy has allegedly used his wealth and status to create an atmosphere of fear. For years, insiders have spoken about his control over his staff and associates, with some describing him as a puppet master who pulls the strings from behind the scenes. And it's not just his employees who have felt this pressure. Some of his former friends and collaborators have hinted that Diddy's empire is built on a foundation of intimidation. Take, for example, the long-standing claims that he's made use of bodyguards and enforcers not just for protection, but to keep people in line. It's a common thread that runs through nearly every story about him, painting a picture of a man who'll go to any lengths to protect his interests.
And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those two raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
These allegations have only added weight to the idea that Diddy has always been able to evade consequences by leveraging his extensive network of connections. From alleged ties to law enforcement to high-powered lawyers and business partners willing to shield him, it seems like there's always been someone ready to step in and help Diddy stay one step ahead. Some speculate that this network extends beyond just business associates, reaching into the halls of power and including people who owe Diddy favors or fear his influence.
Dawn had the choice to file the case as a Jane Doe, and she chose not to do that. After giving it a fair amount of thought, she wants accountability, she wants justice.
And then there's the question of his finances. Despite all the controversy, Diddy has continued to amass wealth, maintaining a luxurious lifestyle that many believe is funded by shady dealings. Reports have circulated for years about his business ventures being fronts for something more sinister, with some alleging that he's used his vast fortune to buy silence and avoid prosecution. It's no secret that Diddy is one of the richest men in hip-hop, but how he's managed to hold on to his empire despite everything is a question that continues to baffle observers. Adding another layer to the mystery, Diddy's ties to other powerful figures have come under scrutiny. From Hollywood stars to major politicians, he's been seen with just about everyone who's anyone. These connections have only fueled the rumors that Diddy has protection in high places, allowing him to move with impunity while others face the consequences. And when it comes to the entertainment industry, Diddy's influence is hard to overstate. He's not just a player. He's a kingmaker who shaped the careers of some of the biggest names in the game. Many believe that this role has given him an additional layer of insulation, making it all the harder for anyone to hold him accountable.
Every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail.
The allegations that Diddy has been able to manipulate his image using AI technology and other tricks only add to the intrigue. It's been said that he has a team dedicated to managing his public persona, ensuring that he always appears in the best light no matter what's happening behind the scenes. Some go as far as to say that Diddy's been using AI to create altered images of himself, making it harder for anyone to pin down what's real and what's not. These claims might seem outlandish, but in today's digital age, they're not entirely outside the realm of possibility. So, could Diddy really be living it up in Cuba, having escaped while his double faces the consequences back in the US? The idea may sound far-fetched, but given everything we know about his past, it's not as impossible as it seems. If there's one thing Diddy has proven over the years, it's that he knows how to navigate scandal and come out the other side relatively unscathed. And with the resources at his disposal, pulling off an escape to a country with no extradition treaty could be well within his capabilities. The real question now is, how long can he keep this up? Will Diddy continue to elude justice, hiding out in a tropical paradise while his stand and suffers the fallout? Or will the authorities eventually catch up to him, forcing him to finally face the music? As more people come forward and more stories emerge, it's becoming harder and harder for Diddy to maintain his image as a Teflon celebrity who can do no wrong. But until there's concrete proof, this saga is likely to remain just that, a story filled with rumors, speculation, and unanswered questions.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff, they were there to delete everything. Like the real people that were in there, you know.
Oh,
like
that's
the same
funny.
thing with Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
As we dig deeper into Diddy's past, it's clear that this is a man who has always known how to play the game. Whether it's manipulating the media, using his connections to stay out of trouble, or allegedly escaping to a foreign country, Diddy has repeatedly shown that he's willing to do whatever it takes to protect his empire. And as long as there are people willing to support him, it seems likely that he'll continue to find ways to dodge the consequences. So, after hearing all this, what do you think? Could Diddy really be hiding out in Cuba while someone else takes the heat for him? And if so, how long do you think he can keep up the act? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.